Good evening. Tonight I want to talk to you about baseball. I want to talk to you about the New York Yankees being the most successful baseball franchise of all times. I consider myself a baseball fan, and most people who consider themselves a baseball fan love their team, just like I love my team. But what they do is they think about it on an emotional level. They think about their team as being the best because they feel like they're the best. They've been cheering them on from the good times to the bad times. They love their team. But tonight I want to talk to you about purely statistical information on how the New York Yankees are the most successful franchise of all time. I'm going to compare three teams to the New York Yankees. I'm going to compare the Pittsburgh Pirates, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Boston Red Sox. All three teams have been successful in the playoffs, the regular season, and have over 5 World Series championships. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates were established in 1891 in the National League. They have many players that have been influential and have provided the Pittsburgh Pirates with championships. Players like Ralph Kiner, Honus Wagner, who is one of the most famous Pirate of all time, Willie Stargell from the We Are Family years in the 1980s, Bill Mazeroski, who hit the most famous home run against the New York Yankees to beat the Yankees in the World Series, and of course Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente was not only known for his baseball skills, but he was also known for his humanitarian skills. He died in a plane crash providing humanitarian aid to hurricane victims. And some of the managers that have provided leadership to the Pirates are Billy Meyer, and most people know Jim Leyland. Now let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox. I put them in there because they are a heated rival with the New York Yankees. Boston Red Sox were established in the American League in 1908. Some of their players that have played for them are people like Ted Williams, who had the greatest swing of all time, the last man to hit over 400, Carlton Fisk, who hit a famous home run against the Cincinnati Reds with his hands going like this to keep the ball fair, Carl Yastrzemski and Jim Rice, and some present-day players like David Ortiz and Jason Varitek. Some of the managers that have led the Boston Red Sox are Joe Cronin, and most recently, who won the World Series with the Boston Red Sox, Terry Francona. Now, let's talk about the St. Louis Cardinals. The St. Louis Cardinals were established in the National League in 1900. Some of their favorite players were people like Roger Hornsby, who was a great player for them, Stan the Man Musial, who most people, when you say Stan the Man, know exactly which team he played for, Enos Slaughter, Ozzie Smith, who played shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals in the 1980s. He was considered to be the Wizard of Oz. Very good shortstop. Lou Brock, who played for the St. Louis Cardinals, could steal bases at any time. The man was a very good base stealer. And the face of the franchise over the last 10 or 12 years has been Albert Pujols, who until recently was a great player for the St. Louis Cardinals. He moved on to another team. And the managers that have won World Series championships with the St. Louis Cardinals are Whitey Herzog and most recently Tony La Russa. Now let's talk about the team that I'm comparing everybody to, the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees were established in the American League in 1913. As you can tell, they are the youngest franchise that I'm comparing to tonight. Most people know the New York Yankees, and they know a lot of the players that played for the New York Yankees. Some of the famous players have played for, like Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, everybody knows him. Every home run hitter who's ever hit home run has been compared to Babe Ruth. Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse, set a consecutive games played record until Cal Ripken beat that. Yogi Berra has 10 World Championship rings. And Mickey Mantle, one of the most famous center fielders that has ever played for the New York Yankees. Most people know Mickey Mantle. Then the recent players are players like the captain of the New York Yankees right now, Derek Jeter, and the most famous closer of all time, Mariano Rivera. And then there's the managers. Two of these managers, Casey Stengel and Joe McCarthy, have won 7 World Championships with the New York Yankees. And Joe Torre, who didn't measure up quite as well, won 5 World Championships. Let's get into the pure statistics about the teams. Total games played in the regular season. As you can tell, as the New York Yankees being the youngest franchise, they've played just over 15,500 games. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, who the oldest franchise that we're comparing to tonight, has played over 18,500 games. So they have a pretty good comparison on the amount of games played. Now, when you look at the amount of games won, total games in the regular season won, you can see that the Red Sox have only won just close to 8,500, with the Pittsburgh Pirates leading with 9,400, and the New York Yankees falling right there close to 9,000. Now, here's where it starts to separate the teams. The regular season winning percentage. Pittsburgh is a .507 winning percentage, which means they just barely won over half of their games. With Boston and St. Louis, pretty comparable to them. And then the New York Yankees, a .578 winning percentage, which sets them clearly above every other team that's out there. The New York Yankees have a regular winning percentage that most teams would love to have. Now let's talk about playoff appearances. The playoff appearances show how successful a team going from the regular season into the playoffs. As you can tell, the New York Yankees have over double their closest competitor. The Yankees have made it to the playoffs 50 times, the St. Louis Cardinals only making it 24. It's amazing that since they are the youngest franchise, they have gone to the playoffs more often than any other team. Now, when they make it to the playoffs, you have to make it to the World Series. And as you can tell, the Yankees have made it 40 out of 50 times. That's 80% of the times they go to the playoffs, they make it to the World Series. St. Louis Cardinals, they made it 18 out of 24 times, with the Pittsburgh Pirates and Boston Red Sox falling up behind. But as you can tell by this graph, it's clearly showing that the New York Yankees are successful once they make it into the playoffs and make it to the World Series. Now, this is where we get into the crux of the matter. World Championships. Without a doubt, this signifies a successful franchise. How many World Championships have they won? The Pittsburgh Pirates have been here since 1891, and they've only won 5 World Championships. While the New York Yankees, established in 1913, have won 27 World Championships. Clearly, over double the amount of their next competitor, with the St. Louis Cardinals only winning 11. This shows the success of the New York Yankees. Championships won sets the New York Yankees above and beyond any other team. In conclusion, I presented a lot of facts to you tonight, showing you winning percentages, games won, playoff appearances, and World Series championships. If you want to feel in your heart that your team is the best, just remember, I showed you tonight that the New York Yankees have won more World Championships than any other team in Major League Baseball history. This clearly sets them above any other team. I want to let you know again, the New York Yankees are the most successful franchise in Major League Baseball history.